Guys, Astro here, back at it again with another video, and today we are inside the constellation Andromeda, and we are going to be doing something a little bit different today. We got our buddy here, Kavinsky, riding with us, and this is his ship actually. But what we're going to be doing today, what we're going to be talking about today, is kind of an everyday driver discussion. So if you are someone who doesn't have very many pledge ships or don't have very many ships in the verse in game, or nonetheless, you don't have very many options and you don't play too much, so you gotta choose the correct ship for you. We're gonna have a small little discussion here about everyday ships. So if you like that, make sure you hit this, smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. So today we're gonna talk about kind of the bigger, overall, all-arounder everyday ships. So like some people will say some of the best everyday ships are the smaller size ones, like a Cuddy or a Titan or a Freelancer or things like that. In my opinion, and I think Kavinsky here will share that same opinion while we're talking about it, going the next level up in size, in my opinion, just gets you to be able to do whatever you want in the verse. So we're going to be talking about the Connie, the Corsair, the 400i, the 600i, the MSR, ships like that are a little bit bigger, that have about 100 cargo space, have quite a bit of guns, and has quite a bit of shields, and those ships can do just about everything. So that's what we're going to get into here, and we'll say hello to Kavinsky. How's it going, Kavinsky?
Hey everyone. Uh, well, here, here is the gist of things. So, reason why I decided to go do this little experiment is primarily because a lot of uh, the Astro mercenaries, noticed I've been flying the Corsair a lot, and they were, you know, making friendly jokes and stuff like that about. So I decided to give the Connie a spin. And another motivation behind doing this really was there's a period when the Corsair, you so much as an AI sneezed on you, you had a massive torque imbalance. So I kind of wanted to give the Connie a spin because I pretty much flew the Corsair as my daily driver almost like every day, and it's been like this for like a year. So I decided I want to give the Connie like a tryout for at least a week or so to as just as a daily driver to give people who got the Corsair who might be looking at the Connie as like an alternative.
Cool, cool. So basically, you've been driving the Connie for a while, and testing it out, but you've also spent lots and lots and lots and lots and forever amounts of time in a Corsair. So, what are your thoughts on comparing the two ships? Well, I mean, you've also had your fair share of time in an MSR as well. So, just give us some thoughts on that, I guess.
All right, so the really the comparison is that they're kind of both you know not necessarily. I know the Corsair on paper has like an exploration label on it. I have to say that due to the Drake marketing team, or they'll revoke my sponsorship. But it's really kind of like one of those ships you can do a lot of things with, and the Constellation, I feel I was actually surprised a lot by the ship. I thought I would really hate it, but I didn't find myself really despising the ship at all. I think it's if you want me a short answer for Cliff Notes answer for folks, the both ships are great. It just depends upon what you as a pilot or captain want out of your ship.
Right, so let's talk about some of the differences in the and whatnot. So, one of the things we'll talk about, I guess, first before we get into some of the more niche or technical things, we could just talk about the sheer base of the ship. So Corsair. Let's keep this between Corsair, MSR, and the Connie because those are the ships you're most familiar with. So let's talk about just the sheer base of the ship, as in like, okay, the Corsair has 6 guns, the Connie has 4, the MSR has 2 for the pilot. Um, the the difference in shields, the Connie and the Corsair have the same shields, but the MSR is lacking in shields. Also, the MSR is lacking in guns. Even if you are piloted with other players and you have other people crewing in your ship, the MSR is still lacking in guns, while the Corsair and the Connie kind of have the same deal. If you get 3 people in the ship, they have, super amount of firepower. The Corsair could obviously fit a 4th person in to add even extra firepower. Um, so, what do you want to say about that? Especially since like the Corsair has some issues with torque imbalances and things like that.
So I would say the Connie is actually the better multi-crew ship. If you're flying around with a lot of people, I think the Connie is a very good multi-role ship. Because of the turret coverage, it's actually better than the Corsairs because the cheek turrets really I find really don't cover the frontal arcs that well. It's really that top turret that covers that frontal arc well. So oftentimes with the Corsair, you want your enemy in that bot, right at your nose, not directly in front of your nose, but a little ways away. So you want that rear turret, all of the guns, the pilot control guns on that target. With the Connie, which is kind of cool, is that the both turrets can get at like a frontal target that is pretty close, and I think that's nice in terms of being like a gunship. And then the missiles also sometimes give you like a good standoff uh, ability that the Corsair does not have. But the other side of the coin is that with the Corsair you're just flying wall of guns, which I honestly prefer as a pilot. I prefer having all of those guns at my fingertips.
Right. Okay.
Be
So
that
you're saying if you're flying with other people, the Connie is probably the better choice. Um,
if if you're getting into a fight and you're doing ship to ship combat, yeah, I would say that.
okay. So what about other things? So like that was shields and weapons, so which is generally we revolve that around combat. But what about cargo size? So the Connie has like 96 or 92, something in that range of cargo size, while the
Yeah,
Corsair has set
96. Yeah, 96.
96.
Yeah,
And
I'm pretty sure.
oh, you want to get that guy first? Yeah, let's get that guy
Yep,
first.
got him. But you see how I have this frontal arc cover? You know how we can work together pretty effectively with that.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice between the two. This is actually the first time I've been a turret gunner on this ship. Well, first time in a long time. But
Yeah.
the visibility in the two turrets are exceptional compared to like the cheek turrets in the Corsair.
Yeah.
But that goes to personal preference, I guess there too. Okay, so back to
The
uh
cargo. So
cargo.
the Connie has 96, the Corsair has 72, and the MSR has like 110.
Yeah, 110-ish. So the really the Corsair the cargo is not the greatest. It's about maybe a little bit. It's about imagine a cuddy kind of. It's like in that similar range. But on the other side of the coin, you get like a bunch of guns. You get uh a ship that can haul vehicles more comfortably than then the Cuddy. I'm sorry if I'm bringing that in, but I don't really find the cargo hold to be that limited really. What's really weird about the Connie Andromeda is that the hold on paper is 100, right?
Yeah.
But it feels like it's a seven. It feels like it holds 72, which is really weird because of in operations where we do our salvage. I believe we have some videos floating around there salvaging and stuff like that, right? We're picking up cargo and stuff. I
Yep.
feel like the Corsair is a little bit more flexible in terms of just chucking things into the back and just going, whereas the Connie with its freight elevator uh provides a bunch of headaches, which for instance, I was trying to recover friend's body and stuff, and I just ended up wasting at least a couple minutes trying to get it up through on the elevator, but it just kept like falling through, so I had to like chuck it into the one of the airlocks, whereas the Corsair, it's just that flat cargo bay, which
So
I think.
so it's easier access in something like the Corsair or the MSR, while the Connie's elevator can sometimes be a pain in the butt to use.
Yes, the elevator is uh is really frustrating to use sometimes. At least I find it is. And also during jump time, because we did do a jump time with this ship, and it can be kind of. I feel like the Corsair's rear hatch is much easier to secure when you're loading than a Connie, because of I managed to steal a Connie that way with two guys who were shooting at me at jump time one time.
You were able to steal a Connie by getting into its airlock?
No, the cargo elevator.
Oh, the cargo elevator.
It's harder to cover because of there's two entrances and exits to it. You know
Well,
where
see, I disagree in that fact because the cargo elevator can't be used if you don't own the ship or you're not in the party. You can't use the buttons to make the elevator go up and down unless
oh
you're in the party.
I managed to make the elevators go up and down. It was Jump Town. It was Emerald. I think it was an Emerald or something like that, and we got. Remember the one where I jacked that railgun from that person?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, it was that situation. So really the elevator was more frustration, but in terms of cargo haul, just pure amounts of cargo, I think if that's really your concern as a captain, the Connie I think would be a good uh, thing to look at over the MSR, because the MSR granted has a little bit more cargo, but it has like zero guns.
Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, I agree the easiness of the cargo in the Corsair or the MSR beats the elevator, but the elevator does make the ship a bit more secure because you should not be able to use the elevator if you are not in the party. Um, so it does make it where if you're in the Corsair, someone could shoot down the back door and just walk right in by
Yeah,
using
yeah,
ballistics and shooting the
yeah,
back door. But in the
yeah.
Connie,
That's a
you would
fair
have to
point.
enter through an airlock. I don't know what the situation was where you were able to access the elevator or something, but that shouldn't have been able to happen. If it's in an older patch, maybe, but in recent patches, you're not allowed to access other people's elevator buttons.
This was probably like Jump Town maybe 6 months ago, something like that.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so in my two cents of that, the extra storage that the Connie does have, I think, is big compared to the Corsair 72. Um, I still think the amount of guns the MSR has doesn't make up, or the cargo that the MSR has doesn't make up for the fact that it has so little guns.
Can I be a devil's advocate here?
Sure.
So, I did a lot of time, doing Elite Dangerous, right? And so I did some space trucking, and uh, one thing I think some cargo runners are eventually going to have to consider is how much time does a ship take to fly you from, you jump in, right? And then fly, you get to your spaceport or destination, right?
Right.
So the MSR is actually really quick in terms of its engine. So you can possibly get a little, more cargo runs uh in the same amount of time that a Connie, a Connie or a Corsair for instance,
Yeah.
So that's just something else to think about. And it's pretty quick in atmosphere. It's nice to fly in atmosphere in general, but it's really expensive to refuel.
The MSR.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hydrogen it has a really big hydrogen tank, and it also burns to fuel kind of quickly, but it can be pretty expensive to refuel if you do something like what we're doing right now. This would be like maybe 10,000, maybe 5,000 worth of hydrogen you just burned up right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Connie did not place on the racetrack. It was not fast enough to even get a bronze medal.
No, it's so I think this is a good segue into like mobility between the two ships, right?
Okay, sure.
All right. So I know you really like the single fighters and the light ships, right? And you flew I believe you flew, what did you flew a gunship for a while. What was it? You flew the Corsair. You got mad at it because of the torque
And
imbalance.
then I swapped to the Connie. I had an Aquila, but yeah,
Oh, so you did actually own a Keel.
yeah.
I thought you had like the what's the other wall of guns? The one with the turrets. Starts with R, I
The
believe.
Redeemer.
Yeah, yeah, the
I still
Redeemer.
currently own the
Yeah,
Redeemer. I don't
yeah.
ever
So
use it, but I still currently own the Redeemer.
yeah, you used to fly that like all the time and stuff. So uh, let's get back to mobility and all that. So I find that the Connie really has a lot of acceleration. I think the acceleration is a little bit better than the Corsairs. You can feel it with the four engines. Uh, I think in atmosphere, the Connie, it feels heavier even in the VTOL mode. It feels a lot heavier than the Corsair. Uh, but then again, it has missiles, so that kind of makes that kind of uh mitigates that defect in terms of like a ship to ship fight and stuff. Both are uh in something like zero G or something like that. They're both very similar. It's it's almost like it's very hard to tell them apart. I don't know. You're more of the pilot than I am, honest. Well, you're more the dogfighter than I am, Astro. So, would you like to refute my claims?
Well, I mean, when it comes to fighting in the two ships, I think the Connie is you could feel that it is a little bit more mobile. Um, and you could get on target a lot easier in the Connie, especially if you're considering the fact that can get a major torque imbalance in the Corsair very easily. The Connie, I think, has a small advantage in that category. And when it comes to crewing up and actually fighting other players and things like that, I would never take any of these ships unless I had a crew. So that kind of leads back to what you said earlier, where the Connie has two turrets, at least the Andromeda has two turrets that are going to be able to be on target all the time. They have better angles. They could see the nose of the ship and whatnot, while the Corsair doesn't. So, in that sense of things, the Connie might just be the better gunship for actual combat.
Yeah,
And okay, there's one thing that we haven't talked about, and this little thing on the butt here. The Connie also has a second ship attached to it, so that could
yes.
throw in another wrench in the situation.
Yes, it's the little Merlin is quite handy to have when it when it's functional and everything. I think it'll it definitely evens up the if you see the two ships fighting each other, if we put Corsair Connie head to head, I definitely think it equalizes the fight, or at least makes the constellation a, a little bit better in terms of like that damage output potentially.
Yeah. Okay.
Ooh.
Well, let's 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 start wrapping it up. So, well, one thing I did want to mention is this right here in the cockpit or in the pilot seat in the bridge. In the Constellation, you have every screen that you would ever need with you. But you could also say the same thing for the Corsair. It has plenty of screens, and you can have all the screens active at the same time. Not necessarily will you be able to see them all in the Corsair like you do in the Connie, but I think both don't really have a screen problem, so I won't even talk too much about it. They both have very good screen access,
I
in my
I
opinion.
actually do want I actually do want to kind of touch on that a little bit. So the Corsair, you just look down and you see what you need to see. If you need to in a fight, you can just immediately look down, right? The Connie, I feel like if they were to do something about that over how the overhead is set up, I think it'll solve a lot of problems with the visibility in that ship, and it's really frustrating at night too. I really hate the Connie's those top uh display screens at night. It's an absolute nightmare. And then somewhere like Daymar, it kind of washes out the little sensor radar screen in the middle. I think you can see that now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, see how so with the Corsair you can just look down at your y- originally I thought, oh, this is garbage, the radar screen. But after a while, I was like, hey, it doesn't wash out. It does its job. It's not like the cool three-dimensional radar screens you have in other ships, but it just never washes out, which I think is a huge plus. That's a good thing on all Drake ships, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that we didn't forget about the screens,
Uh,
and we did briefly talk about the missiles and whatnot. So let's just talk about what your recommendations are. So like, if you were to choose an everyday driver that is of the bigger ships, these multi-crewed uh, everyday drivers between the Constellation, the MSR, the Corsair, the
400i.
400i.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts on that?
I'll honestly, I don't think I'll ever trade in my Corsair. Uh, I wanted kind of like the MSR. When I originally bought the Corsair, I just didn't have enough money to get the MSR, but I was like, you know what, this is a really cool ship, and I enjoy playing the game, and sometimes it's nice to have something in game to, play the game to and grind to. So I I was really looking for a uh, 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 a ship in this class that I could do everything with, and that's uh how I originally, how I came to the Corsair. So for me, just the amount of pilot control guns, the cool, the armory I have back in the airlock. I think that's really cool, especially if you're doing like, missions with your friends and stuff. You can have their gear, stuffed in those lockers on those gun racks. Uh, I just think it suits what the Astro Mercenaries does as an org, because I don't ever feel like I need to be in another ship to do something with, whatever adventures we're streaming. Whereas the Connie, I feel like I need more crew to run efficiently, but I think the Connie is really good if you're looking for something that is
Oh,
has a little bit more cargo space, maybe a bit better hard
that's not good.
stats, and just not. Yeah, this is also another issue with the Connie. Will just like flip upside down like this.
Yeah, that is true, actually. That is a fair point. The Connie does tend to have this small little issue where it does flip upside down sometimes. So this was a great example of that. Okay, okay, so we'll do some finishing thoughts here. The Connie does have this issue where sometimes when you get out and activate some of the elevators and whatnot, it has this issue where it flips upside down sometimes. The Corsair also has a huge issue with that it has folding wings, and that is a never-ending, terrible situation that you have to deal with every single day of your life of using the Corsair. Does the
And it,
MSR
it
have any of
kills
these
your
issues?
friends too.
No. But the MSR also is, in my opinion, the least useful of them, at least currently, until the scanning gameplay comes out and smuggling becomes more of a thing. Then the MSR might have a bigger role in the verse. So, my opinion, I think, the Corsair used to be this great, awesome, superpowered thing. Then this Lightning came out. The F8 Lightning came out. So now, really, the Corsair doesn't even have the top guns to its name anymore. Uh, and like I said, the MSR just doesn't do enough for me. So if I was to recommend one of these ships to be your everyday driver, for the most part, the Connie doesn't do you wrong. I think the Constellation series is really good. No matter what choice you make, whether it's the Taurus or the Andromeda or the Phoenix, even, whichever one you want, I think the Connie doesn't do you wrong. Those are very good, solid ships. 400i has too many bugs for me to throw it in. The 600i I think is too OP for these guys. I think the 600i is kind of in a different category.
Yeah, it's really
Uh,
in a different category. It's a weird ship too, honestly. I
yeah,
would have to point that out. That might be a future video.
yeah, because what category is the 600i in? Because is it in the same category as the Connie and the Corsair? I don't know,
Uh,
because it has double the shields, because it has two size 3 shields. It has same amount of firepower, I would say,
Let me
but
look actually. I'm gonna look at some hard stats. Give me one moment.
well, I mean, I just gave all the hard stats. The point is, we're gonna end this one here with the Connie flipping upside down and stuff. My recommendation is if you're going to choose one of these everyday flyers between these three and you're trying to upgrade from the Cuddy or the Freelancer or the Titan and trying to get up to that next level uh, of a bigger ship and adds the possibility to multi-crewing. Currently, you don't have to have a multi-crew to run these ships, but it adds the possibility to have multiple people on your ship and things like that. I think the Connie is probably the safest bet. The Corsair is if you want to be a little risky and mess around with Drake stuff. um, and that's my opinion. I think the Connie is the one to go in these situations. But they're all great ships. Every ship in this game, not even just the Connies and the Corsairs, of what we're talking about. Every single ship in this game has its own little thing to it. Everything has. They all have their roles. They all have what they're good at, and depending on the person flying it, they can be spectacular ships. So I'm gonna say the Connie. Kavinsky, you talked about how you're still gonna stick with your Corsair, but
Yeah,
that's
because
because you own the Corsair. If you didn't own all three of the ships right now, which one would you buy? Like if you had the money
uh
to buy all three of them and you could only choose one of them, which one are you going to buy?
uh I would definitely say the Corsair just simply because of I've been in a lot of PvP fights and it's a lot of them have gone badly, as you have seen. Some of them went spectacularly well.
Yeah.
So I think that's another reason why I'm firmly holding on to it. Because of that, it's one of the few ships I feel kind of comfortable with doing everything. And granted, I did get into some PvP fights with the Connie, and it was not terrible. It was great.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's why, really it's the I'm gonna stick with the Corsair. It's because I own it, and I don't feel like I want to make that jump from my Corsair to the Connie because of the current state of the ship right now. And I think that's another thing a lot of people need to uh uh take into account when they're watching this video. We're not talking about in terms of future right now. We're really talking about what the ship is right now. You know?
Yes. Okay. Well then, I think we're good here. Kavinsky, the Corsair driver, has decided he's going to stick with the Corsair, and that's all good. I'm glad that he has made that decision. And whatnot. The Corsair is a fantastic ship. I just hate flying next to it because it's dangerous. Um,
Yeah, those wings will kill people. You
but
should add that in.
yes, the wings will kill people. So I think all in all, like I said, every ship has its own niche, every ship has its own greatness, and every ship has its own faults. So it's really just a preference thing. All these gunships, multi-cruise ships, are really nice for everyday drivers, for you and a couple of friends to hang out in and have a good time. Let me know down below in the comments what ships you guys prefer to hang out with your friends and do things in. Do you have a preference between the three main ships we're talking about here, the MSR, the Connie, and the Corsair? Obviously, like I said, there's others like the 400i, the 600i, and a few others, but we just kept it here to make it simple, and these are the main ships that Kavinsky has flown, and Kavinsky just wanted to talk and share some of his thoughts with you guys here on YouTube, and he just wanted to say hello. So that's what we did.
Hey.
That's what we did. That's this video. Like I said, leave a comment down below what you guys think. Smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. When we get to 2,000 subscribers, we'll be doing another giveaway, so make sure to check up on that. As we get closer, I will make an announcement for what the giveaway will be and what you have to do to enter the giveaway. But thank you guys again. This is Astro Manny and Kavinsky signing off. Hope you have a wonderful day, and adios.